Joining us now with more on the president's executive action is American Conservative Union Chair Matt Schlapp, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, and Fox News correspondent at large, and my buddy Geraldo Rivera in studio. Good to see you, pal.
Good to see you, brother. Let's
start with this declassification order. Congressman, I'll go to you first, given that you're up there on the Hill. Is this the moment the Spygate co-conspirators here have been dreading forever, this declassification order?
Sure is. Monday night, as a matter of fact, on this show, I predicted we were days from action and weeks from evidence. I think what's most important about this executive order is it shows that Comey, Clapper, and Brennan all are in jeopardy. If this was just a question of misconduct at the FBI, the president wouldn't have given the attorney general sweeping authority to be able to compel the production of evidence from the intelligence community, from the CIA, from the NSA, and that's where I believe there is evidence that was withheld from the FISA courts where George Papadopoulos is saying we weren't colluding with Russians. That would be illegal. That was withheld. Now, you mentioned the Gang of Eight briefings, Dan, and what's so important about that is that they included statements of exculpatory evidence, evidence that would have shown that Carter Page and George Papadopoulos were not a basis to continue this investigation, and that is not going to line up with what was presented to the FISA courts. And so that disparate display of the evidence, I think, is going to really show where the corruption occurred, and they should be very worried.
Geraldo, I'll go to you next. It's good to see you in studio here. Listen, they're in a world of trouble right now. I mean, Congressman Gaetz brings up a great point. When Attorney General Bill Barr was up on the Hill in his testimony, he didn't just say the FBI. He was very clear there was possible malfeasance with the intelligence community. He was very specific at large there, not just the FBI. So this may be bigger than just FBI spying, and I think their days are numbered in hiding this story.
A couple of points. I think that, first of all, to watch the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the President of the United States going at each other like junior high students is very disheartening. I think that this is really not good for the country, this sniping, this personal sniping. In the Speaker's case, however, what is revealed by her use of the terms cover-up and so forth leading up to her meeting on infrastructure with the president is that the agenda of the Speaker has been exactly in sync with the most radical members of the Democratic caucus. She is thinking impeachment. She wants to prove obstruction of justice with all her might. But what is happening is, when these documents are revealed, what it will show is an obstruction of injustice. The president's frustration, his flailing out at the Democrats is because he committed no collusion. There's no underlying crime. It's not Watergate. And people using that parallel, using that analogy, including our own Judge Napolitano, are way off base because there was no collusion. There was no obstruction. It is obstruction of injustice. But I think that this is dangerous, this reckless rhetoric, both from the president and the Speaker of the House. I think they better cool it right now. Maybe the Memorial Day weekend will give them some time to ponder it. But as this evidence comes out, I want to know at what point did the special prosecutor know to a reasonable certainty that there was no collusion? Why didn't he tell the president that when he got to that point that there was no collusion? Was he trying to entrap the president in a perjury rap? I really think that this is going to show the lowest.
I don't blame the president at all for being upset. You're accusing the president of a cover-up and a crime. Right. And we're upset. So, Matt, going to you quickly. Can I just ask you, what's the you've been around the legislative arena for a lot longer than I have. What is the legislative purpose of all of this? The Congress is not the FBI, Matt. Their oversight and their investigative abilities, correct me if I'm wrong here, are to legislate, not to become the junior FBI.
Well, you know, they do have an oversight responsibility, which is baked into the power of the purse and their ability to fund the government. So they do have legitimate oversight. What they do not have a legitimate right to do is to have their own prosecutorial investigation, which is why it's the proper thing for Bill Barr, who, by the way, the Attorney General has been undergoing an investigation for quite some time now. So the fact that the White House is now taking this extraordinary step, which we've been waiting for months and months and months, it probably means that this is well enough along where they have a grasp of what they want to declassify, what needs to be made public. And Dan, here's the key. Two key things. Number one, this is going to take the wind out of the sails of impeachment because it's no longer about all the faux coverage of potential wrongdoing for Donald Trump, which has been proven to be completely wrong. It's now going to be about the Obama-Biden administration. What did they know? When did they know it? What did they do? What didn't they stop? Why did they use their powers in an unauthorized and illegitimate way to go after their political opponents? This really puts the shoe on the other foot, as Geraldo is saying. It's not about President Trump's wrongdoing. It's about what happened during those Obama years, and I think this is nothing but positive for the American people who want to get to the truth.
Yeah. Congressman, you're up there. You're living with this every day. Is there a possibility here that when Bill Barr talks about this being bigger than the FBI, if you watch the Lisa Page testimony in Congress, she seems very confused that some of the information the FBI was getting may have been given to the CIA as well. Matter of fact, she doubts that could have happened, even though it seems apparent based on Brennan's briefings up on the Hill that the sources were the same. Is it possible there were parallel paths, yet it all went back to Christopher Steele in the end?
The strongest evidence that those parallel paths existed is that you have Brennan and Clapper and Comey all starting to point fingers at one another about the extent to which the dossier, funded by Democrats, cooked up by liars, and then commingled with Russian information, wasn't really the driving force of this entire investigation. And so I think that as we get closer to the target, you're going to see more of the circular firing squad start among those people who were so desperate to derail the Trump presidency that they took illegal action before a secret court that had no defense attorney. And, you know, to Geraldo's point about the level of the discourse here, it is really strange to hear the Speaker of the House question the president's mental state. What I see is that this question about impeachment is torturing the Democratic Party. And so if the president needs an intervention, I think that Nancy Pelosi and the rest of her caucus all need to go on Dr. Phil and talk about their feelings and sort of figure out how they're going to deal with
the president
this,
to go
this
there.
question.
The president should be above that. You know, he doesn't need that. He's winning now. Let Barr do his job. You've got him. You can't.
Well, he's not just winning,
are stubborn
he's getting it
things.
done.
They'll be uncovered, and we'll see who did what when.
Well, Barr did.
But
his
just
job.
look at today. Just look at today. The president was able to get $16 billion to our farmers. He was able to negotiate through a gridlock on a disaster response, and he was able to centralize this investigation on the greatest political scandal in American history. That's a pretty good day for somebody who needs an intervention.
I got to run, guys. But it's funny that when Mueller punts the football to Barr and he does his job, then the Democrats complain about it too. Matt, Congressman Gaetz,
They want a do-over. They want a do-over.
Right. Again, they want a do-over. Again, like Wayne's World. Remember that do-over? It's ridiculous. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.